Good evening, everyone. Welcome to part 3 of the detailing series. Today I'm going to cover protection and shine after you've done a paint correction. There's 4 main products that you can use to shine your vehicle. 3 of the 4 will also add protection against elements and UV. And then we'll talk about another one that you use kind of to maintain the finish on your car, known as quick detailers. But we'll talk about the 4 basics first, all right? So the products that give you your shine and protection, okay? Broken into a little quad chart that I did here on the whiteboard. So you've got waxes, sealants, coatings, and glazes, all right? And I've kind of summed up with a few parts the difference between all of them. So let's start with the waxes. So your waxes are gonna be natural, all right? Most of them are a carnauba-based form. Carnauba comes from a tree, a lot of them from Brazil, a pure wax is going to be natural, okay? They're easy to apply for the most part. They go on kind of like butter. Sometimes you got to let them haze up a little bit. Sometimes you can buff them right off. They're going to give you on average 3 to 5 months protection, depending on what they are. The 5 months is going to be more on a car that's kind of garage kept, doesn't see a lot of elements. Otherwise, you can expect to get about 3 months max out of most of them. Excuse me. And you're going to get a deep, kind of wet looking gloss or shine on the car. So that's kind of how waxes look. It's a very desirable look. I like the look of waxes, which is the reason why I've started incorporating it in my regimen. Sealants. Okay, so sealants are actually pretty cool, and they can pair very well with waxes. I use a sealant as well, and when I discuss my process more in other videos, it'll make more sense. But sealants are essentially like a wax, but they're not natural; they're synthetic. They're usually made with polymers. Okay, they are also very easy to apply. Just kind of wax on, wax off, same deal, right? Because they are synthetic, tend to last a little bit longer. 6 to 9 months if your car is garage kept and doesn't see a lot of elements, then this can last much longer. I get about a year out of my sealant coats that I put on my car because it's garage kept and it doesn't get, doesn't see any rain, doesn't see any harsh chemicals. So I can get a long time out of them. The shine you're going to get out of a sealant is a little bit different than a wax. The way I like to describe a sealant look versus a wax is where a wax looks like a wet paint kind of look. Sealants tend to have like a hard candy shine. Think about what you see when you look at like a Jolly Rancher. That's kind of how it looks. So it's a different kind of shine. So moving on to the coatings, okay? Coatings are also synthetic, but they are usually based off of a silica or ceramic or graphene, all right? These are all different chemical coating types. If you're more interested in these, go on YouTube, find a video that talks about ceramic coatings, graphene coatings, SiO2 coatings, to see more about the actual chemical composition about them. But these are basically kind of like a sealant, but on steroids, all right? They are more difficult to apply because the paint has to be really in good shape, has to be really free of any kind of contaminants, and you have to put it on a certain way. The other ones, waxes and sealants, they're a little bit more forgiving. If you kind of go too heavy on them in one area, not a big deal. It kind of buffs out if you have a high spot. If you don't put enough on it, you can always go over it again. With coatings, you kind of got to be careful. because they have to be applied. You have to let them flash, and then removing them can be a little bit difficult if you've applied too much. So it's a very meticulous process from what I've seen. I would not trust myself to do a coating. If I wanted to do a coating on a car, I would go hire a pro to get my paint just right, have it fully corrected, have it completely decontaminated, and then let them do a coating on it. The big difference, though, the reasons why coatings are a huge rage today is this bullet right here, years, right? So where these are months, right, maybe up to a year if it's garage kept, these coatings, when they're done on your car, they can last, several years of protection. Obviously, you have to maintain that with products that they make for coatings that you spray on, like after you do a wash or something like that. You kind of like rejuvenate the coating, but as long as you do that, you get years out of the protection. All right, and then the gloss again is going to be kind of like that hard candy like finish because again it's synthetics. Okay, and then the last thing is glazes. All right, unlike these three, glazes don't offer any protection, all right? They are very easy to apply, just like a wax or a sealant. And you're basically using a glaze for gloss and paint enhancement. Glazes will make your reds look, more rich, more red. Yellows look brighter, whites look whiter, blacks look darker. And then they will also enhance the actual shine and gloss. And some of them do contain fillers, as I've mentioned in previous videos, which will help any kind of leftover little micro swirling or light swirling or scratches that you may have. They can go ahead and fill that in to an extent. All right. Now, this one right here, wax, okay? There are also, I'm sure you've seen around products known as hybrids, right? So locally available at a Walmart or AutoZone or anything like that, you're probably going to see Meguiar's hybrid ceramic wax. It's everywhere. It's in spray form. I think it's in liquid form as well. And that is essentially a wax that has been infused with some of the coating properties in here. So they've added a little bit of ceramics properties to that wax to then give you a product that is easy to apply like a wax, but gives you more longer lasting protection because of the ceramic properties. There's also hybrid waxes with sealants. So if you want if you want the look of a wax, that wet kind of look, and a little bit longer protection, they sell hybrid wax sealants, right? So you can find hybrid ceramic waxes, hybrid wax and sealants out there to give you that, all right? But kind of like I said in the previous video about the all-in-ones being, jack of all trades, master of none. So your hybrid waxes, they're not going to protect as good as a dedicated sealant or coating, and they're not going to give you the same kind of shine of a coating or sealant because you've got a predominant wax property to it. So again, those hybrids are just basically for folks that want to do a wax that maybe want to make it last a little bit longer. Okay, so that kind of covers those four. All right, last one that we'll talk about: quick detailers. There's so many of them out there, and for so many purposes. I've seen companies make detailing products that on the surface, they all look the same. You may ask yourself, why did this company make 3 different spray bottles that essentially look like they look the same? Well, the detailing industry has gotten so niche today that the minor differences between all those products may matter to someone, right? One that just comes to mind is one that I read about not long ago. P&S makes 3 products. One's called Bead Maker, one's called Dream Maker, and then the other one, forget what the name of the other one was, but all three of them on the surface look to be exactly the same, right? Well, the difference is Bead Maker is protection. It has a sealant. It also has gloss because sealant's going to give you gloss, but it's got the protection properties. Dream Maker has no protection. It is purely a gloss enhancer. So it's kind of like a glaze in spray form, right? And it's meant literally for right as soon as you pull into a car show and you finish kind of dusting your car off and your car is not dirty, you spray this on, wipe it off, and it's supposed to make your paint pop. Then the last one is like a waterless wash, and I'm sorry I forget the name of it right now, is like a waterless wash that allows you to clean, and it has a little bit of protection. So that one is going to give you gloss, right? Because it has a little bit of a protection and it does clean. But it's not going to give you the same kind of gloss as Bead Maker because Bead Maker is a no kidding sealant, right? And then the sealant isn't going to give you the gloss of the gloss enhancer, right? So it's very, very neat, niche, right? But basically, bottom line, a quick detailing product, whether it's just a regular quick detailer, something that's advertised as a ceramic quick detailer, ceramic boost, the Bead Maker quick detailer or anything like that. Those products are designed for a mostly clean car, okay, maybe with a little bit of light dust on there, to basically maintain whatever kind of coatings you put on the car, whether it's a full up synthetic coating, a sealant, a wax, whatever, and also, basically give your car that just freshly detailed look before you take it out on a drive. So you detailed your car, it's been sitting in your garage for a week, it's been collecting dust. You can basically get a lot of the major dust off the car, and then with the little bit of dust that's left remaining, you can hit the car with a quick detail spray, wipe it in, flip your microfiber towel over, buff it off, and it's going to look like you just waxed the car, right? It's going to basically refreshen the paint up and give it that just detailed look. So the quick detailers are awesome, right? People also use them as drying aids because a lot of the quick detailers also have basically the polymers and the stuff that make the water bead up and run off the car. So when you're done washing it, you'll see a lot of detailers will take a quick detail bottle. They'll spray the wet panel with water, and that'll help get the water off. So it's used as a drying aid and also minimizes water spots because you don't leave any water behind because the detail product itself helps to beat up the water. So I myself have a couple of quick detailers. I have one that I use just to maintain kind of the coats that I have. And like if I'm just going to go for a drive around town or something like that, I'll dust the car off. I'll hit it with a little bit of the quick detailer and make it look good. And then I have another one that I use specifically for car shows. I apply it like the night before a car show, and then let it basically cure overnight, and then that's like my top coat. It's actually called Topper. So I'll go over that when I do my product lineup. But what I take with me to the shows is the quick detailer. I don't take Topper with me because Topper is designed to be like that top coat, and it works best on a fully like dust-free, clean car. When I leave my house and I go to a show, I'm gonna pick up some dust on the way there, and so when I show up to the to the show, and I go ahead and I dust my car, the other quick detailer that I have tends to work a little bit better out in the sunlight when the car is not perfectly dust free. So I'll kind of use that just to go ahead and finish the final, the dusting of the car once I get there. So Topper, I'll put on, the night before or even the day before. Try to do 2 coats, like try to do one in the morning and then let it sit for 10 to 12 hours, let it cure a little bit, and then do one more for extra gloss. So that's basically the rundown of that. All right. So, which is best for you? These are so versatile. It really comes down to your personal preference, what your budget is, and how you use your car. All right. So, coatings are going to be expensive, right? Almost every single price I've ever seen for a pro detailer to do a coating on your car, it's several $100s. Okay. Could run into the thousands depending on the prep that's going to be done to your car. But you can look at it as a one-time expense. Like you pay $700-800 to get a coating put on your car. That's going to encompass a paint correction, a polish, right? Getting everything off your car and then putting the coating on. And then you're basically done. If you maintain that car well, you'll have years of protection where you can just wash your car, dry it, spray the coating with a coating boost, like a ceramic boost or something like that, and you're done, right? If that's what you want and you're okay with like that kind of hard candy gloss, knock yourself out. Waxes, all right? I like waxes because I enjoy the detailing process. It's relaxing for me. You know, I get to, spend time with my car. I put some music on. I'm in the garage. I like it. So I don't mind applying waxes every 3 to 4 months, because it's cool. You get to work your paint on your car. I use them. If you want that deep, wet gloss look, you want something that's relatively cheap. Most waxes aren't that expensive. Some of the higher end waxes, even, if you get like Pinnacle Sovereign Wax, which is reputed to be like one of the best waxes out there, you're going to pay $100 for a big tin, but it's $100, and you don't use very much. That would probably be the last container of wax you would buy for years, right? So it sounds expensive on the surface, but when you look at how much you should get out of it, it's not that much. But most other waxes, even really good ones, you're talking $30, right? Maybe for a good tin of wax. Sealants cost about the same as a wax, usually $20-30. It goes on the same. It's synthetic, so you get a little bit more longevity out of it, and you get a different gloss. You get that hard kind of candy gloss. Okay, now I'll give you a little preview of what I'm going to talk about in the video where I'm going to go over my lineup. I've mentioned a couple times already, I use both. And the reason why I use both is the sealant I put down as my foundational protection of my paint because it lasts a long time, right? And if you get the right sealants, they work well with waxes, and you can do what's called layering. You can layer product on your car for different effects. So I use sealants to give me my base, gloss, and protection, and I top it with a wax. Why do I do that? Because the sealants bond best to paint, bare paint, with no wax or anything underneath it. And that's what's going to make it last as long as it does. So I put the sealant on first, the wax goes on top, so I can give it that wet gloss look, right? So I kind of get the both worlds, right? So I get the wet gloss look with the longevity of the sealant. And I would rather do that than get a hybrid for a couple reasons. One, you're not going to get the best of both worlds, right? If I got a hybrid, it ain't going to give me the protection that I would get out of a standalone sealant, and it won't give me the same kind of deep wet gloss that I would get out of a standalone wax. So that's why I do it separately. But the other reason is my car is black, and I have a special wax that I have that is formulated for black cars. So I'll cover all this again more in the next video. So I usually use both, all right? And then I also use a glaze, right? I also use a glaze to enhance gloss. So I'll talk more about that when I get into my specific regimen, all right? Again, the beauty of the glaze is you can use it whenever. You can use it like as, beneath your sealant, even though I just said sealants work best when they can bond straight to bare paint. If you put it on top of a paint that you put a glaze on, it's not going to diminish the longevity of the protection that much. So you can do that to basically protect the glaze and keep it from washing off. You can also use glaze as a topper. So I mentioned I have a spray that I use called topper as my last step the night before a show to get that max gloss. You can use a glaze in the same way. Adams Polishes actually has a glaze like that called Brilliant Glaze, and that's what it's intended to do. It's basically like a quick detailer, but on steroids, because it's a glaze. It's intended for you to basically wipe on, like right before a show, wipe off. It has a little bit of filling properties in it, and it just gives you a nice, beautiful wet look to your car. So a lot of glazes can be used that way. They can be used the night before or the morning of a show, real quick to put it on your car to give it that last bit of pop. And again, it doesn't offer any protection at all. It's just there for the day of the show, right? So that's kind of like the rundown on how you would use all of those, right? And then the quick detailers, those, I cannot imagine life without a quick detailer. I mean, it's really the go-to. I don't even bother putting my quick detail bottles away like in their drawer. I just leave them out on a shelf because every time I'm getting ready to go drive the car, I go out and I grab the quick detailer, I grab the microfiber, I spray down a little bit, and I do a light dusting of the car, and then I give it another coat of the quick detailer, and then I'm ready to go out for a cruise, and it looks like I just finished, spending 6-7 hours on the car getting it ready to go. That's normally what I also take with me to a car show. I always take a little detailing bag with me to a car show. I got a few rags in there, and I bring a waterless wash, which I'll talk about in future videos to help me get if I get a bumper full of insects on the way to the show, I'm going to want to use like a waterless wash or something heavier to clean than a quick detailer to get that off. And then I have a bottle of quick detailer, maybe a little bit of glass cleaner, although I can use both the waterless wash and the quick detailer on glass. They work fine. So I usually just take a few bottles with me and some microfiber towels so I can do some maintenance as soon as I get to the show. So that's pretty much it. So that's waxes, sealants, coatings, and glazes 101. Choose what's best for you. And, most importantly, just have fun with it. They all have their pros and cons. Hopefully I covered the big parts of that with this video. And next video that I do in part 4, I will bring in my orbital that I have, or my dual action polisher, and talk about the differences between it and a just straight up orbital and other things that you can use to help you detail. So hopefully you enjoy.